As you all know, we have now entered into a new month. We are now in August. Today it's August the 2nd, and we're so excited that we're having a brand new episode of Good Morning to the Leader in You. We have collaborated with Miss Shirley's. Many of you that are local to the Baltimore area know that her home, the actual first location, is in the Roland Park area. They know they have many other um branches, should I say, or franchise locations, should I say. We'll get into that in a minute about the history. But as we have embarked on a brand new month this August the 2nd, I want us all to be thinking about posturing and positioning our business for long-term growth and development. So today, we're going to be having conversations about how do we expand our business? How do we take our business if we want to even have it to be a franchise later down the road? And we have a phenomenal guest with us this morning, and her business deals with logistics and implementation. And so I think she's befitting for the topic of the hour for today. Now, you know, we have our co-host with us, Dr. Leroy McKenzie, aka the name of his business is J&F Enterprises. And I know many of you already know he has a phenomenal business out there, along with his book on leadership. Now, listen, in a little bit, you're going to be seeing him eating some food. Now, he's going to give us a review on today, guys, okay? Because he has just ordered a very delicious breakfast meal at Miss Shirley's, and he's going to give us a review a little bit later on, because we want to patronize our local businesses. And as we continue with our show, Good Morning to the Leading You, we're going to be partnering with other cafes, other restaurants, as we continue to build our brand and build our show. But I do want to introduce our guest, and then I'm going to pause and have our co-host to come on a little bit and talk a little bit about his thoughts and perspective on franchise. But let me digress for a second. We have a queen that is among us, Miss Shelly McDuffie. The name of her business is Quad Creations, and her website is DA Rhonda. That's RONDA.com. Again, that's DARONDA.com. Again, her business specifically specializes in logistics and implementation. Now, listen, we know fourth quarter is right around the corner. And so we wanted to make sure we had an expert with us on today that could give us some additional tips and tools about how we can finish this year strong. Yes, we know we got August and we got September, but October is going to sneak up on us any minute. So Miss McDuffie, welcome.
Good morning, Catherine. Thank you so much. A little raspy today, but I appreciate being here today, and I'm excited about connecting with your listeners. Good morning, everybody.
Yes, we're so appreciative of you coming on, because I've known and I've seen of your work for some time. Also on your website, I see you have a section that covers PR, media communications, and event design and creation. So some may watch this show now or listen to this show, or maybe you might catch the replay and you may need some of these services. Miss McDuffie, let's talk a little bit about franchise. Okay, right now we're partnering with Miss Shirley's. You're going to be with us next week. You're going to get that delectable breakfast next week. But talk a little bit about, because I know when you responded to the email, you said, I love Miss Shirley's. Let's start there. What do you connect with the brand? Let's talk about branding before we get into the whole conversation of franchise. What about Miss Shirley's branding caught your attention?
Oh, gee, I've been going to Miss Shirley's over the years. I was first invited there by one of my event planning friends, and we had breakfast there, and I was wild. One, because of their presentation. Excuse me for the background noise. One, because of their presentation, and Miss Shirley's. It's you know how you have those events that are standing room only. Miss Shirley's is always nowhere to park. The parking lot is always overflowing. So I would say part of that branding is seeing that so many others are attracted to the business. And but the food is delicious. The food is very eclectic. It's not your norm. It's not your traditional just eggs, bacon, but they put a twist on everything. And so Miss Shirley's does those things that causes the presentation to stand out. And I believe every business owner is gifted and unique in their own way, and that's what they need to present. One of the things I learned when talking to a coach a couple years back, and she just didn't say entrepreneur, she said entrepreneur. And so it
Mm,
gave me a whole new insight when I looked at it as it's a presentation. Every day you're presenting your business in some way, or you should be. And
mm-hmm.
every day you need to be highlighting what's unique about your brand. So I would say Miss Shirley's brand is very unique in the presentation of what those entrees consist of.
Yes, yes. And don't go anywhere, Miss Duffy. I'm gonna come back to you. But Dr. Lieber, what did you order? I know you ordered some. What did you order?
All right, I'm gonna see if I can. I'm just gonna have to turn my phone around so y'all can see this because they just delivered my food. And
Okay.
Mr. McDuffie just talked about presentation. I want y'all to
Yes.
see this presentation of this good food because
Okay.
I'm about to go off camera and take care of this.
Wow.
Can you see
Mm.
that?
Yes, I see it. I see it.
Yeah, I got some scrambled egg sausage and hash browns and a biscuit.
Yes. And so
Yeah.
we're gonna let you do your tasting while I do the interview with Miss Duffy. Don't go too far now, Dr. Leroy,
No,
now,
I'm not doing
because you
this.
got to give us your review, okay?
Yeah.
But while I'm interviewing Miss McDuffie, go ahead and get your taste testing on. So, Miss McDuffie,
Absolutely.
let's go back a little bit to your business. You shared what branding meant to you and why you were attracted to Miss Shirley. You said that the parking space, it was like, oh my gosh, you had to try to find that out. The it was inviting, the food was different, it wasn't traditional. Now, when you think about how you work with businesses, what is your coaching style when you try to, I guess give tips and tools to a business on how they can have their business to be set apart? What would you say to that?
Well, one of the things I do an assessment first to see where the business is in itself.
Mm-hmm.
But what's unique about how I present my brand is the fact that my background entails 20 plus years of government and promoting heads of agencies in that PR and communications and media space. The other
Mm,
part is 20 plus years I've done events. I learned in a faith-based setting and in a nonprofit organization setting for more than 10 plus years. And then there is my own unique personality that I bring because your personality doesn't go in. You don't minimize that. That's what
absolutely.
helps people be attracted to you in your business.
Mm-hmm.
So you infuse that business with your personality, but also you professionalism is high on my list, as well as communicating in a timely fashion. And so one of the there are three things that became my foundation as a business owner. And I always said back then Jesus was my CEO because I was clueless. I was forced into business when I was had a high risk pregnancy, and the doctor said no more commuting for you for those 2-3 hours a day from
Mm-hmm.
Baltimore to DC. And so one of the things was my follow up. I always followed up within 24 hours or less. Follow up
Mm,
is key. Follow up
yes.
and collecting, especially when you're at a networking event. Follow up is key. Don't wait
Mm-hmm.
2-3 weeks. They've been and forgot all about you. So follow
Yeah.
up was one way. The other way was having a referral system in place. I will
Mm-hmm.
tell you, my business was home for I think 2 or 3 years, and then that particular person moved out of their office, and so I no longer had to go to support them in their office space.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that came next was having a referral system in place. As a result of that referral system, when I moved to my office space, I think I had 4 or 5 clients.
Mm,
As I did the other thing I'm going to say next, it brought people to me that I had never met before. But
mm,
because I did this particular thing, which is I intentionally, me and my shy self, introverted self, intentionally made sure I participated and went to networking events on a regular and consistent basis, maybe every 3 weeks or maybe once a month. But
mm,
when I did that, I made sure I followed up and I had a referral system in place. So those 4 clients that I had when I was at home, that
mm-hmm.
mushroomed to almost 100 clients in less than 22 months.
Mm,
I knew about 5 of those people.
yes.
Everybody else came to me by way of referral.
Yes. And
Somebody
I,
told somebody, and that somebody sent them to me. So
and I
referral
think that's
system.
powerful. I'm sorry, go
Mhm.
ahead.
I'll send referral system, networking, and follow up.
Yes, yes. And I think you said something profound. You did not allow your inability. You said, you was an introvert. You did not allow that piece to hinder you from moving forward. So you move forward anyway. And I think that's a lot that we as business owners, as entrepreneurs, as leaders in the community, we all have things that we're still working on and still growing through and still developing in. But the
Right.
important thing that I heard, what you just said, you did not allow that to stop you. You initially had 4 to 5 clients. You started going to the networking events. So what was that? That was action. Action took place. Sometimes, we sit in mystery and wonder why our business isn't growing. Number one thing is if there's no activity, but not
Right.
any activity. You used the word, it was strategic.
Mhm.
Strategic activity, not just any activity. Strategic
Exactly.
activity yielded you that 100 plus clients within 22 months. And I like how
Mhm.
you narrowed it down. You knew your time frame. Talk a
Mhm.
little bit about that, building out your time frame as a business and your projections. How significant is that?
Oh, it's a very key piece to your marketing campaign and your marketing strategies, because you want to know what you want to do then. And being an event planner, we are always on the clock. We're always
Mm-hmm,
deadline oriented. My
mm-hmm,
public affairs specialist background in the government, where we're deadline driven,
mm-hmm,
gave me that foundation as a business owner.
mm-hmm,
Also, being in ministry gave me that foundation as a ministry leader. And so we're
mm-hmm,
always sensitive to timing. And so as a business owner, you have to know what projections and what's coming up,
mm-hmm.
so that you can help conduct your business strategically. What trends are out there that are impacting your business and industry? What's
Yes.
going on in the marketplace that you need to be on top of, so that when your clients come to you. I had somebody recently ask me, did a professional service person have this
Mm-hmm,
particular service? And that person surprised me when they said no, they didn't have that, because they have always been on top of the trends and this and that. So I was
mm-hmm.
really shocked. And so you don't want have clients coming to you and they know what's going on in the industry, but you don't.
Mm. So being knowledgeable in your industry, and another thing about what you just said is that don't spread yourself too thin. Don't tap into territories that's not your strength or that's not really your knowledge base. You
Mhm.
know, and that's where collaboration and partnership comes in. If you know your
Absolutely.
strategic strong suit is in a particular area, focus on that. Talk about the significance of collaboration and partnership in business.
Oh my goodness. That is major. One of my very first partnerships was with the nonprofit business owner who had a media organization.
Mm-hmm,
And that person, I started in that company as an intern because I had gone back to college after like a 12-year break. I
mm-hmm,
started as an intern.
mm-hmm,
Excuse me. When they saw the gifts and talents that I brought to the company as an intern, they
mm-hmm,
gave me a contract. And then when I opened my business, they became
mm-hmm.
my first contract. They became my first client.
Okay, wow.
And so sometimes your partnership, it may start out one way, but as you
Mm-hmm,
continue to bring value, then
mm-hmm,
that they are going to be seeking you for some other things. And so that was one of the things that happened. Another partnership came about because I was reading the Baltimore, I was reading, I don't know if I can say the name of the paper, but I was reading a
mm-hmm,
business newspaper, and I
mm-hmm,
saw that a company was folding. They were
mm-hmm.
separating. They were disposing of the big company, and several of the key partners were going their separate ways. And so back then, my company started out as graphic design. And then because I had the event planning in my background, I kind of married the two after like a
Mm-hmm.
2 years. But in that
Mm,
first year, I read this article of that company dissolving, and I reached out to them, and he said, "How soon can you be here?"
mm,
And that's how I got my very second contract. But that was a cold call. So
mhm,
sometimes you have to just, if whether it's your strength or not, you have to see what the needs are, create
mhm,
that organization chart, see what's absent, and then bringing those people through key partnerships to work with you for where you may be lacking in your particular company, where that skill set may be lacking. Identify those areas
mhm,
and then begin to pull them in place. One of the things I did in hiring a VA, she began to pull those team members in place. But I always have been one to, when I see somebody in my network, I begin to build a list. And
mhm,
I pull from that list time and time again. I have some favorite photographers for my events. I have some favorite florists that I work with. I have videographers I work with. These are people who I've connected with over the years, and
Yes.
we partner to get the job done, to get the event done, to get my clients' events done. When my client comes on board and we're working with the logistics so that they can focus on their program, I just say, tell me a list of the things you have already. Like I said, do
Yes.
the assessment and tell me what you need. And I begin to
Yes.
pull from my network.
Yes.
I have
And
a good friend who always says, work the net.
yes, work the net. Dr. Leroy, how you making out over there? I know you quiet. You eating that good breakfast with Miss Shirley. Dr. Leroy.
Can you see me? My phone.
Yes, yes.
No,
You know,
absolutely.
Miss McDuffie is giving us dropping some jewels right now. We're gonna come back to. I just wanted to chime in with you real quick and see what kind of review can you give us for the meal you just had.
No, I'm not even halfway finished yet. But I mean, the food is excellent, and I don't know how many people are familiar with Miss Shirley's. I've been here before, but
Mm-hmm.
the food has always been great. And as Miss McDuffie mentioned, the parking is not is very limited. We'll put it that way. It's very limited
In
here
demand.
in this area. So be ready to have to either walk a couple of blocks or whatever in order to be able to get here. But definitely the food is always worth it. And I believe last month was actually um, Black Restaurant Month.
Mm-hmm.
And we
Yes.
didn't get a chance to, I guess, do anything last month, but certainly starting off this month. And Catherine, I know you're going to give the history of Miss Shirley's in a little bit and everything like that. But it's important that you do, as Miss Duffy was saying about partnerships. You had me with a big old grin, big old smile, because that's the number one strategy that I instill in my clients when it comes to having a brand, building a brand, growing a brand. It's partnerships and collaborations, because relationships are resources, and when you have that core resource group, or what I call your circle of impact, you're actually able to grow your brand, the connections that you make because of the partnerships or collaborations are absolutely imperative that you do that when it comes to growing your business and be able to move. So yeah, everything has been absolutely phenomenal from this end and from what you all have been saying as well too.
Absolutely. I'll just read an excerpt that I see on the site, the website. Miss Shirley's was established and created in 2005 by longtime restaurant Baltimore native Eddie, as he was affectionately known. Um, Miss Shirley's Cafe was named in loving memory of a personal friend and inspirational team member, Miss Shirley, who passed away in 2001. Shirley, a food professional at the Beef Inn and the catering people, was known for her sassy charm and sheer joy of preparing dishes for catered celebrations in the community. And so we think about that, that was a partnership between them two. And even when she transitioned on, to have the establishment, the restaurant named after her, that is branding, but it's also saying it was a significance in terms of the partnership that was there, you know, and not to forget the beginning phases of who he collaborated with, who he started the establishment with. And I think that's something so significant when we talk about partnership and recognition as our businesses evolve, as our businesses grow. And I think one of the things why we even to this present day see dishes that are so tastefully done is because the origins of why, and just the compassion of preparing the meals is still present. The foundation is present. And I think that's something that we have to think about when we're building businesses. Sometimes the mission, when someone first got started, gets lost as years
Yeah.
progress, right?
Mhm.
But we have to stay in tune with what the mission is, so that way, anytime, it doesn't matter if you're a for-profit business, doesn't matter if you have a nonprofit, it doesn't matter what services you're offering, don't detach itself from the original origins, right? Because see,
Yes.
that's when you start losing clients. That's when
Mhm.
you start not getting any more referrals. Talk about Miss McDuffie staying connected to the mission and how significant that is for long-term development.
Yes. When you start your business and you develop that business plan, and it'll say, do your 1 year plan, your 5 year outlook, your 10 year outlook, that it's possible that it will change over the years, depending on what's happening in the industry. Look at we're in a pandemic. And so you have to leave that room for growth and identify those areas that you do want to grow in. Like I mentioned, I started out as a graphic design firm because I had learned desktop publishing, and I could type fast. So I began to offer typing services and desktop public services, and the graphic design skills, were high caliber. And so I began to attract clients. And so as a result of that, and I look back into the fact that, well, every time I would go to a meeting, and they would be sitting there planning their event. So like my flyers and posters and banners and things that I was creating for them was for an event. And oh boy, once they found out that I had been helping to plan ministry events for 15 years and nonprofit events for 10 years, they began to pick my brain for the event planning side. So I said, you know what? I'll just call it event planning, quad creations events. We'll work on logistics. But I had to grow and go in the direction of what my skill set was, because I didn't want to be limited in my services. That's where the name quad came from, because we focused on four types of services. And so in doing so, I also left room for growth to identify other areas. So say if somebody came to me and they're planning an event and they need the transportation side. Well, my best friend is a travel professional. So I would say, okay, we can offer that, but I would have her do it. She would handle that aspect of it. Yeah. So you have to see what the needs are in the marketplace, and keep your eye on that and your ear open to what's happening in the marketplace in your industry, so that you can make sure that as you grow and develop, you're following that business plan. You're putting those key pieces in that business plan to help guide you and stay focused, because you don't want to be all over the place and just jumping onto every bandwagon. You want it to be related to your business and industry. You want it to be related to what you're already offering, and build upon it. Not kind of scatter it and dilute it and water it down, but you want to constantly build upon it.
You know what I think is interesting that you shared? You started where you were at. You said you were very skilled in typing, and you started where you were at. And I say that because sometimes people stay on the sideline and say, I can't start my business because I don't have X, Y, or Z. But you started with the tools you had. And as you progressed and you started talking about the design publisher, the desktop, right? You started to go into the design field, but it started with the typing first, and then it progressed, and then it progressed into the event planning, and then your network started to grow, and then you had other people that was in your network that could expand. Now you have this whole event planning division. And so I think, what I'm taking away from what you're sharing, and hopefully the listeners are now, and those that's going to listen to the replay, start where you are.
Yes.
Don't worry about your limitations. Don't worry about what you don't have. We truly believe, everyone that's listening to this show now and that's going to be listening to this show later, you have a unique quality about yourself that no one else has. Use that unique quality that's on the inside of you and launch your business. Launch your business. This is the season to expand. This is the season to grow, but start where you are and start with what you have. Talk about that progression for you, though. I mean, you started with the typing, and then it progressed to where you are now. Now you have contracts, but it didn't start at the contract level.
Right.
But you would have never got the contract if you didn't start at the typing level.
Absolutely. Because I had to find something to do to work from home. Like I said, I had that high risk pregnancy. I said, well, what can I offer? What can I do? Because I thought I was going to do daycare.
Okay.
And this commuter who loves travel did not like staying stuck in the house. And I said, you know what? I'm going to start offering my typing services to local businesses, the law firms and things like that. And because I had been doing desktop publishing in my day job for about 2 years, and I had that creative side, I began to, attract people who needed graphic design. And doing so, that led me to helping them create the marketing materials for their events. And then next thing you know, I was helping them plan the event.
Yeah.
And so there was it just kind of launched right in the direction that it needed to go. And so I would encourage listeners, like you just said, Catherine, start with what you have, assess your skills, and assess what you like to enjoy doing, because you don't want it to feel like work. You want it to feel like joy. Every
Yes.
client that you serve, you want it to feel like joy. And since the organization skills were there, and each client, I was able to sit down and help them get organized, because when you're new and not used to this event planning space, you think, oh, I'm just going to throw a party. And the party throws you because you're not ready. And so you have to pull in some help, because you cannot do it all by yourself.
Right.
You could, if you really plan it out, if you really put the pieces in place. And so I would encourage people, start with where you are, but have a plan for your growth.
Yes. Start where you are.
Have a
Have a
plan
plan
for
with
your
your growth.
growth.
Yes. Yes.
hmm
Dr.
And
Leroy.
I,
Go ahead. I'm
when you
sorry. Go
talk,
ahead.
I'm sorry, I wanted to throw this in there, because this is key when we were talking about partnerships. It
Yes.
has to be a win-win,
Yes.
so that there is
Talk
no
about
loser in
no.
the.
Let's break that down. What is win-win? Because it has to be
Oh,
mutual, not one-sided, right?
absolutely.
Talk about what win-win means.
Partnerships is Miss Shirley's partnerships is this group being at Miss Shirley's, and letting Miss Shirley get some love and get some attention, but also promoting what you're doing. That's a
Yes.
win-win.
Yeah.
It must be a win-win. It cannot be you're giving 90% and the other person giving 10%. And
Yeah.
and then you don't see the value. You must see the value. It can be equal or better, but it cannot be not equal and less.
Yeah. Mutual exchange. Mutual exchange. And Dr.
Mutual
Leroy,
exchange.
tap into that part of the conversation that Miss McDuffie just brought up. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I think she's right on point, because when it comes to when you were talking about your business, starting off your business, you started off with the desktop publishing, but you understood as you started to deal with more and more clients, hey, there's some other needs that are there that I can create and have, where they can, I don't say not a one-stop shop, but they knew that they could get additional services. It's almost like you'll see a McDonald's, or maybe another restaurant or something like that, or even retail, or even just in general like this, where we see that there's a need. And it's like, wow, in addition to what I'm offering, I see that I can put this actually on my products list that people will be able to benefit, and they don't have to go somewhere else to get it, where I can add value to my business. I add value to what it is that I'm offering, and people will get, your clients and even potential clients will see the convenience of it,
hmm
because that's one of the things that I learned working in the hospitality industry. When hospitality industry and retail industry, the two companies that I worked for, they were keen on offering like a one-stop shop type thing. Even a Walmart. When you go to Walmart, you can not only get your electronics, but you can actually get school supplies, you can get clothes, you can get food, all of those additional things. So I don't have to be running to 2 and 3 and 4 different places in order to be able to get what it is that I know that I need. So
hmm
I think clients also look for convenience, and that's what you created with that. And I think that that's key. And even in the partnerships that we offer, if there's something that you don't necessarily offer, but you partner with somebody that does offer a particular service that ties in to what it
Yes.
is that you do, that's a win-win, because you now introduce your network or your client list to that particular partner, and then that partner introduces you to their particular network and their client list that you wouldn't ordinarily have if you
hmm
didn't have that partnership, or if you didn't have that collaboration. And like
Right.
you mentioned with Miss Shirley's, that's what you get here, because now
hmm
Miss Shirley has a partner that is able to introduce their restaurant to a whole new network that might not necessarily know about them on a
Right.
on a constant, consistent basis. that's put
Mhm.
out there. It's, that's the win-win that you're talking about.
Mhm.
That we're referring to when we're talking about that, where both partners, or the client and the and the business both benefit from that relationship. Excuse me, that you had or that you create.
Yes. Yes. If I could share a thought, thank you, Dr. Leroy. Two of the hardest lessons I learned as a business owner, a new business owner, one was um, before I became a collaborator, I turned down contracts. I
Wow.
had, yes, I had uh, performed a state government contract. And here was the other hard lesson that I learned. When I submitted my bid, I underbid some of the top um, event planners in the area who whose whose services match mine. I was providing the same type of services they were, but
Mm.
their bid was triple what I had bid. She said, "Don't you ever bid that low again." She said, I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
tell you this from a personal standpoint. She said, you're offering the same type of services as some of these big companies that submitted a bid. She said, don't you ever sell yourself short again. Those were two of the hardest lessons I learned when I was turning down contracts because I said, oh, I can't do all this. It didn't dawn on me, oh, just collaborate, manage the project, manage the event, and let your partners carry out the particular hands-on areas.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't dawn on me as a new business owner. I was too new.
If you can talk about that, and because I think we do, and especially as Black business owners, we do undersell the value that we do have, and we think, okay, well, I want to get it, but I don't want to outprice the market on the high end, or you can also outprice yourself on the lower end too, because you'll be too low, and then it's where you aren't benefiting yourself, where
Mhm,
you aren't even making back what it is that you offer. So
mhm,
yeah, that's a great lesson, that for those business owners that are listening. Don't
mhm.
underbid yourself and don't overbid yourself. Understand the value that you have in the
Yes.
market, and be confident. Say, yeah, this is my price. This is what it's going to
Mhm,
be,
mhm.
and be confident in that.
Yeah,
And thank you,
go
Dr.
ahead.
Leroy. That comes with doing your research, seeing what your competitors are doing, seeing what your competitors are offering, doing your research so that you can know what's going on, and then taking a measurement and assessment of the skills that you bring, and that will help you also in determining your prices. And then you don't have to feel bad. Sometimes you have to change your target audience if your price if they the people coming to you feeling as if your price is too high, then that means they probably not your people.
Yep.
And you have to be
Mm-hmm.
okay with that. And here's
No,
what I
no,
learned: as much as I want to serve, new entrepreneurs in this event space, I found out that I need some seasoned entrepreneurs who already have some decent profit, and that can afford my rates. Now, I do have other things in place where, say, I have a certain amount that I will what do you call it? Kind of like not quid pro bono.
Mm-hmm.
But I limit that. I limit the freebies that I offer throughout the
Mm-hmm.
year. And once I meet that quota, okay, I don't have any more freebies.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to do that when you're trying to make that entrance in the marketplace and make a name
Mm-hmm.
for yourself and
Mm-hmm.
let people know you're there. But don't continue that, because then they'll just see you as the discount person and you'll never turn a profit.
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think
You're in business to make a profit.
yeah, and the branding message that goes out if you're considered the discount person, because then that message is going to be spread among, oh, go to that person because that's the discount, and then that becomes the overall branding message. And then you get to a phase where now you're trying to shift that, and it can sometimes be a struggle. So I think everything the both of you was saying is so spot on. You have to value who you are, you have to value your services. You can't cut yourself short, and be very conscious of the branding message that you're putting out there, to your online social media presence, to your personal presence when you're at a networking event. Every single thing we do as a CEO connects back to our personal brand. You talked about something, Miss McDuffie, and I think it's something very significant. You said when you go to a networking event, You did not let a lot of time go in between for your follow-up. That contributed to your personal branding message, because
Mm-hmm.
people now know, well, you know what? She ain't gonna let too much time fall under her feet with follow-up. If this how she just doing, and I'm not a client, this how she gonna do if I become a client. That's a
Mm-hmm.
branding message. And I think everything, I call them golden nuggets when we have guests on the show and you share things. Those are golden nuggets that we all, including myself, we can take away, we can implement. We always bring on leaders on this show that we have dialogue, we have conversation, but to also take the tools that we're learning to do what? Go into implementation. And that's one of the words on your website, implementation. Talk
Mm-hmm.
about, now we know fourth quarter. We know we still got August, we at September, but fourth quarter gonna be round the corner. What are your
Yes.
some suggestions or tips that you normally share with people when you're preparing for fourth quarter?
Well, I would say, kind of piggybacking off what you just said, when it comes to the phone, that 24-hour turnaround to follow back up with people in the networking space, but
Mm-hmm.
also those calls that come in. Don't
Okay.
drag your feet getting back to people.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing agitates me more than if I really need your service and I'm
Mm-hmm.
reaching out to you because we just met, blah, 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 or
Mm-hmm.
I have you from a previous and I reach out to you and it takes you a week to get back to me. Really? Were you
Mm-hmm.
on the moon with all this technology?
Mm-hmm.
Where were you? And
Mm-hmm.
then the other thing is if I email somebody and
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking to refer you to someone, but I can't
Mm-hmm.
even get an answer from you.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
agitates me, and it always has. And so early on in business, because Jesus gave me this idea to
Mm-hmm.
24 hours,
Mm-hmm.
I put that limitation on me as well. And then anybody that comes in my space, like I
Mm-hmm.
had an office space that I had bartered to get out. That's another whole story, another whole show. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I taught my staff,
Mm-hmm.
if somebody calls, don't wait till the next day to give me that message. I need that message right away. That could be a client that's helping me pay
Mm-hmm.
your stipend. Hello.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So I would say be strategic about returning calls, returning emails. If you feel like you're too busy, then go and get that customer service support. People, they offer that all the time. What is it,
Mm-hmm.
like the operator? You can hire the operators or whatever
Yes.
to catch your calls and catch your emails, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
We need to put a plan in place
Mm-hmm.
so that we don't miss business opportunities.
Mm-hmm. That's
It
right.
is absolutely imperative that you follow up, follow up, follow up. Put a follow up system in place, whether
Mhm.
it's emails, phone calls. If it's a certain day that you answer your emails, get get an automated system so it does respond to people and
Mm-hmm.
let them
Mhm.
know I will get back with you such and such.
Mm-hmm.
But you absolutely, like you said, Ms. McDuffie, there's no excuse. People say, well, I didn't, no, you didn't get it. There's it on your phone. And I don't understand people. How do you not get a phone call in this day and time? How do you
Mm-hmm.
not get an email? Because there are notifications. You get notification. You should be getting notifications on your phone when you get an email. I know that's the way I have it set up. Any
Yes.
email comes into my that comes in that I get a notification about it. So I can't say that I did not see or did not get an email unless I really didn't get it, because I
Hmm.
get the notifications. Because like you were saying, I want to be able to respond within, I say I do 24 to 48 hours. Gives me two
Hmm.
days because I
Hmm.
just, we all get caught up or busy and everything like that.
Hmm.
But if you have the automation set up, it at least responds to someone to let them
Yes.
know, hey, your email was received,
Hmm.
and then you'll have someone that'll be getting back to you. Because like you said, to me, I'm not leaving money on the table.
Hmm.
I'm not
That
leaving.
reminds me of another hard lesson I learned. I don't know if you all remember when Verizon, I believe, had Identa Ring, where you
Mm.
could set it so that it rang one way for your household, but another way for your business.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I had told my preteen, if you hear this particular ring, do not answer that line because that was
Mm-hmm.
my business line.
Mm-hmm.
Well, lo and behold, somebody who was planning the AFRAM back then called
Mm-hmm.
me.
Mm.
I was not home and she answered the phone.
Mm-hmm.
They never called me back. And I
Mm.
called them several times because I believe they wanted to subcontract with me,
Yeah.
partner with me in some way. They were
Mm-hmm.
Right.
managing the AFRAM. That would have been a major opportunity for my small business because I
Yes.
won an award my first year. And
Mm.
And so that attracted me in some other circles. So that's
Mm-hmm.
another whole idea. But I never heard back from them, and they never responded to the voicemails that I left them.
Mm,
Wow.
So we have to be specific, like you said, put some mechanisms in place that will help you, move this thing along, move it, put that system in place so that you
mm-hmm.
don't lose out for business, that you don't miss opportunities.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think
Yeah.
it's a key word you just said, systems. For all those that's watching now, for all those that will be listening to the replay, take this time that we have August, September, definitely fourth quarter. You don't have to wait till the end of the fourth quarter, but look at your business operations, look at your business plan, look at what systems you have now. Are the systems working? Sometimes we sit in systems that's just not working and we know they're not working. So sometimes we have to analyze and do a SWOT analysis of our business and see what's working, what's not working, and then implement certain things that can really give us the results that we're looking for. So building a system. I know that when you look at anything, just think about a computer. The computer
Mhm.
has an operating system. The computer
Mhm.
that we're on right now, I'm on a laptop. It would not be working if it didn't have an operating system. Now we know with
Mhm.
computers though, from the beginning phases to where we are now has shifted. We think about in the beginning phase, they was those big, bulky, huge, gigantic systems, right?
Right.
So we know even with computers, now we have these small wallet-sized people be on the plane with these miniature laptops, but it's a computer. It still has an operating system, but the
Mhm.
internal has shifted over the years from the beginning phases. And that's how we
Mhm.
have to look at our business. Sometimes our business may have started kind of big and bulky, and then we had to trim it down to what it really is going to evolve into. And that's okay. But we have to be open and receptive to the trimming process. I have a saying that says trim back the fat. Sometimes we have too many things going on in our business and we're not
Mhm.
producing at a level in which we could be because we need to trim back. And I think as we continue to grow, as we continue to evolve, as we continue to make an impact in the community, that's another thing. As we trim back the fat in our businesses and our businesses become more effective, we now have a positive impact in the community because now we're shifting the economy in our neighborhoods because our businesses are thriving. So even
Mhm.
if we have to think about it that way, we can't have mediocre businesses because that's not going to help impact the economy in our neighborhoods. And so we have a couple minutes left of the podcast. I want to digress and have Miss McDuffie definitely plug your contact information, your social media handles, website. I know I gave a shout out to the website in the beginning, but please definitely plug your contact information again.
Mhm. And Catherine, thank you. It's so key. What you mentioned, it reminded me of when I first started my event planning. I did not zero in on a niche area. And so I
Mm-hmm.
was taking whatever event came, a party over here or cookout over there or whatever. But I
Mm-hmm.
found out that being in ministry with young girls,
Mm-hmm.
I was drawn to and guided to create my signature event is a girls leadership conference. It started out as just a
Nice.
girls expo, girls conference. So
Okay.
I had to even narrow that down. No, I want this to be about a girls leadership conference. So as an
Mm-hmm.
event planner, it's good to identify a niche area that you want to, serve in. And so I enjoy conferences, red carpets,
Mm-hmm.
luxury upscale types events. My specialty is signature events, and so we
Mm-hmm.
work behind the scenes to help bring your event to light. And so
Mm-hmm.
we offer that behind the scenes services so that you can focus on your program. So Quad Creations Events has been around for 20 plus years. I'm at Deronda.com. It's DA in the front, DA in the back, and RON in the middle. So it's Deron, DA as in Daisy, RON as in Nancy, DA as in Daisy.com.
Yes.
And so we are located in the Maryland, upper north area of Maryland. We serve all over the place. As a matter of fact, this was the first year that the girls conference went on tour, and we started out in Aberdeen, went to
Mm.
Cambridge area, we're in Bowie next, we're in Hagerstown, and our annual event, it's going to be the 9th year, taking
Okay.
place Saturday, October 8th, right in the Baltimore County area of Windsor Mill. And that's
Mm.
Saturday, October the 8th from 11 to 4. And it
Yes.
attracts girls from all up and down the East Coast, from as far as New York to as south as North Carolina. They
Mm-hmm.
come out, and it's all about instilling the leadership effect on these girls in as young as age as possible. They need
Yes.
to know the jewels that they carry. And so the Girls Conference helps polish those jewels and so that they can serve in their communities. So Deronda.com, we're here to help you with that event. We even offer training for new event planners who've been in the space for 2 years or less who don't have their own signature event. And so I'm excited about being here today. Thank you so much again. It's a pleasure meeting you, of course, Dr. Leroy and Catherine. Thank you for the great work that you do in the community. And we're honored to serve in any way we can.
Thank you so much. Listen, for those that's tuning in now, definitely follow up with Miss McDuffie. Again, anybody that we bring on this show has been verified as a leader, as a consistent business professional, and she and her business has done just that. So if you're looking in need of those services, definitely follow up with her. Dr. Leroy, what would be your I guess you can say close out words before we close, and I want you to plug your contact information as well.
Well, I'll say this. Yesterday, I started off the week by telling everyone and asking them this question: what's your blueprint? I call it "What's your black print?" because I was listening to Jay-Z's Blueprint as I was walking yesterday, and it was a masterful. I think it was his greatest hip hop album, but I started to think about, okay, what was the concept that he did in order to be able to put this album together? And we have to have that same kind of approach when it comes to our business and what we include in our business, having that formula, having what we want, what we see our business is starting off as, what we see it being, and then what we see it becoming. Because we're always in a stage should always be in a stage with our business. And each level is going to cause you to have to evaluate. We talked about the business plan. You should be reviewing your business plan at least once a year, a minimum of once a year, going through it, seeing what worked, seeing what didn't work, what products you have that are doing well, what products do you need to kind of, do we need to tweak this, or this just didn't work at all? It's just not good at all. Let's not do that again. That type of thing. So it's about what's your formula, what's your blueprint. What are those processes, and which I think is absolutely a must. You have to have systems, processes in place in order to be successful, and in order to go anywhere. If the fastest way to have your doors closed as a business is to not have processes in place, because you'll be all over the place. You'll find yourself trying to do this, trying to do that, and you have no structure, no kind of methodology of where it is that you need to go, want to go. So today, I would say, everybody, think about what systems you have in place. What's your formula? What's your black print? What's the print that you have for who you are as a business, as a brand, as a company, and then move forward in doing that. And everything that you do in your business, who you do business with, all of it should be encompassed in that formula that you have, that black print that you have, that you put together. That should be your culture. That should be what people think about, what you want people to think about when they think about you, when they think about your business. I know I'm going to get A, B, C from that particular company when I do business with them, or if I buy a product or service from them. So I would leave people with that today. I mean, even Miss Shirley's, whose food was just absolutely good. I mean, even they know that they had to have a system for creating this menu. They have to have a system for what goes on the table, what it is, how they're going to fix the food, how they're going to serve the food. All of that is a system that they have in place. And they thought about that system before they even opened these doors. What were the colors going to look like? What's the color scheme of the of the building? I mean, the ambiance that's here, everything, all of that is a part of it. What do you want people to see? What do you want people to feel when they do business with you? Because truth be told, people do business not only with people that they know, like, and trust, but they do business with people that people do business with who they can gain an experience from. People love Chick-fil-A. They love Chick-fil-A because of the experience that they get. Food good too. Don't get me wrong, the food is good too. But it's about the experience that you get going to a Chick-fil-A that you're not going to readily see everywhere else. So how are you going to differentiate yourself with all of the other businesses that are out there that do what you do in your industry to make you stand out and be able to do what it is? You can't do that if you don't have your black print. So I'll leave it with that, Captain.
Absolutely. We thank everybody for tuning in. To check out my website, simply go to www.catherine with a C, CatherineTrotter.com. That's TROTTER.com. We are partnering with Miss Shirley's all month long. So if you are in the Baltimore or surrounding areas, in the Roland Park specifically area, definitely if you are a business owner, a leader in the community, join us once again next Tuesday morning. We gather around 9:15, 9:30. We will be going live and streaming live, and we are showcasing businesses all month long as we have been doing for some time now. And so for all of you that are watching, I'll just end with this. Know that greater is ahead, but in order sometimes to unlock the greater, we have to activate, right? We cannot just sit and wait for activation to come to our feet. Anything that I've ever been able to do in my business is because I had to get up and activate. And sometimes, even in that getting up and activating, it's not that everything had always been perfect for me in my life or in business, but I know that if I stopped, there would be no motion. Because if you are the leader of the company, you are the visionary, the pace of your business growth will start and stop based on what the visionary does or does not do. So we want to encourage everybody that's plugging in now or plugging in later. Don't stop, don't quit, don't give up. Continue to go all the way. We're going to see you at the top. And again, if you're in the area and you would like to take some really divine food, meet us at Miss Shirley's next Tuesday, and we're going to see you at the top.
513 West Cold Spring Lane, y'all. 513 West Cold Spring Lane, Miss Shirley's.
And I got next.
Yes.
Thank you, Catherine. I think the listeners should know that you and I met at an African American Black Book Expo about 10
Yes.
years ago.
You know what? Let's talk about that before we totally close out. And I think the significance in that, and I was invited with a Queen sister that had through that event. And from that one event, we met. And 10 years
Yes.
later, the connection is still there.
Yes.
Longevity is a big thing.
Yes. You were introducing your book, which I purchased that day.
Yes.
I kept
yes.
that book. I read through that book. We reconnected. I have been referring people to you,
Yes.
and it has come full circle.
Yes.
You know, and so some of those people have been coming back to me saying, yes, I went to her. She's helping me.
Yes.
You know, so I
And you know,
appreciate
so
and value the relationship.
no, I do as well. And I thank you for even bringing that back to remembrance, because that was my very first book that I ever released. Very first book. And I tell you, for those that's listening, if you're wondering when is the right time to release that book, release it. Because it's not that I came from a history of, authors and knew all the ins and outs. I just knew that I had 8 steps on the inside of me, because it's dealing with 8 steps in terms of launching your nonprofit. How do you cultivate the organization? How do you build the board and all of that? That's my niche area, is nonprofit development. That is my niche. And so what I did was I took what my niche was and I put it in 8 principles in which a leader can take that book and execute on their business. And that has been really the principle that I've been living everything by with my business and everybody I've coached with. So that one book actually is what took my coaching business to the next level, actually. So, and it helped me to even land a contract. And so I tell you, when you're moving out and you're about to launch out into the deep, don't discount yourself from your beginning phases. Me and Mrs. McDuffie, we met 10 years ago at an African American authors event, and we're still connected. So I say to you, don't lose hope. Continue to build. Get out to those networking events. Be strategic about it and build on those alliances long term.
And follow up, follow up, follow up.
Yes.
And I need to connect with you too, Miss McDuffie, as well, too.
Same here, Dr. Leroy. Thank you. Same here.
Absolutely. So we're going to be back at Miss Shirley's next week, y'all. So
All
y'all
right.
have a wonderful day, and we're going to see everybody at the top.
I'm going to look at the menu.